Boys, hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is a bit of a different video today. A bit of a warm podcast hug from Burnzy's sitting room.
You can't say that.
You have to do it again.
You can't do that.
Shout out to Blind Boy.
Postman.
If you want to go away, put on this video in the background of something while you're studying or while you're doing a bit of work or whatever. This will just be me and Burnzy answering some of your questions from Instagram. We've got a coffee each. And this honey in front of us is where our microphone is, so we are not just drinking honey. Let's get into some questions. This is going to be a bit all over the place. I'll try edit like pauses and awkward moments and stuff like that. If me and Burnzy are touching, like, we'll get rid of it, right? But let's get into some questions. Do you want to introduce yourself?
No, I'm all good. You've done a good job there, boy.
Right, here we go. Question number 1. So there was 2 questions very similar. One from Willis and one from Brian. And Brian said, what got you into running in the first place? And then Willis said, why running over any other fitness activity? And they're very relevant questions because anyone who's been following me for a long time, I was like solely gym content for an awful long time, like since I started my Instagram page in general. But I obviously injured my knee then, and my kind of thought process on things changed a small bit, and I kind of had a new outlook on things, and running became kind of not cool. Didn't really become cool, but a lot of my friends, shout out to like Owen O'Leary, I went over to watch him run like the Brighton Marathon and stuff. Hyrox was kind of taking off. A lot of my following and people I'd be watching on YouTube and stuff started running, and it became like this kind of in thing and a bit cool. And I was like, I've fucking ran for my entire life. Why not put a bit of effort into running? And it was going to benefit my return to sport then when I could go back onto the pitch. Because obviously with my knee operation I kind of had to be careful and just like run a straight line for a while. So I was like, why not have a little running related goal? Said all this to Burnzy, and Burnzy was like, I'll make you up a 10k training plan and we can get you running.
It's a win-win.
And it's a win-win for me and for Burnzy. If you don't know, Burnzy's way better runner than me, so I'll let him answer that question as well in terms of what got you into running.
What got me into running in the first place?
Well, I suppose it's hard to pinpoint exactly when I got into running because I've been running my whole life, all the way up through school, cross-country running. Shout out Harry Hogan, because myself and Harry Hogan, an absolute legend, especially in Charles' eyes, gone and done races with that man, Ackle in particular, when I was pure stressed out of my mind getting ready for a half marathon and running a very decent half marathon, thankfully, after training for 16 weeks for it. Harry just rocks up and just does it and just flies through it anyway, like still gets a sub 150 like and just out of nowhere. But anyway, shout out Harry because we used to train cross country when we were in school. So I'd say that's probably my first memory of running and team sports all the way up along. And then I went over to Sweden on our internship in college in Carlow, and I was bored. And I was like, this will be funny. I'm just going to go and run 7k down the road. I'm going to run 7k back in a pair of old red New Balances that I used to wear. And I just did 14k in like, what, an hour and maybe just around an hour or something. And I was like, geez, that was great. That felt fucking savage. And then I just, ran while I was over there and then doing it ever since. So what's that? Yeah. Third year of college, second year of college. So
A long time ago now.
in school and then in college and then a couple of, I suppose, races here and there. And then bigger events and stuff like that. I'm sure we'll get into that as we go through.
We have a few more questions
like
like that.
So school, I'd say.
There we go.
That would be it.
Good first answer. We done well. This is a good follow on then, and this is actually the order they were asked in, so this is pretty good. So this is from Aaron. Shout out to Aaron as well, another man on the daily vlogs on TikTok. He said, what is the biggest lesson you have learned from one of your first races or your most recent races? Do you want to start on you?
First race. A more recent race, I suppose, would be, like I was talking about, Ackle. When I first ran it, I was in like fairly decent shape, like really committed over in Liverpool to a 16-week kind of training block for it. Lots of long runs, lots of hard 1k efforts and stuff like that. But I went back and did it 2 years later, and I did like very little training and just thought like, right, I'm just gonna stick in with the boys that are up the top here. I've had a top 10 finish here before. I can fucking do it again. I'll be grand, like, you know, no intervals, no long runs, nothing. And like, look, went out at an absolute rocket pace. And if anybody knows Ackle, which some of you may not, The first 5K is up a gradual hill, like very, very gradual. If you go and look on Strava or anything, you'll see it. But that I sat in with these lads and I thought, right, I can stick it. And then the last, again, 5 or 6K was just torture. I was like blown. I still got it done, like still got a decent enough time, but like just nowhere where I was supposed to be. So well, I suppose going back to the question, what was it? Which one was
Lessons
it?
from-
Oh yeah, that one. Don't just think, right, sure I did this before. Sure, I'm just going to be able to just absolutely pig through it again with less training. It just doesn't fucking work like that.
No.
It just doesn't work like that.
No. My biggest was probably the good thing about working with Burnzy is he's very like race orientated. So if I was like, my big plan last year was to run the Cork 10K, and he was like, let's do a few races in the meantime just to get you up to speed with racing. I'd never actually raced before or put on even a bib on a jersey, like, do you know what I mean? So I hadn't a clue what I was doing. So he was like, get you into a few races, not for time, not for anything like that, but just to experience it and get up to speed and stuff. I think that helped me big time on the day. But my biggest lesson was the Mallow 10 miler last year. It was my first ever race of any description, which is a bit mad to say because that was March last year and now it's December, isn't it? It's crazy.
Was it March last year? Wasn't it?
Yeah. So like less than what, like 8 months ago. Anyway.
Wait, what? No, it's March of this year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry, yeah.
So like 8 months ago.
Yeah.
But I went out with like the 90-minute pacer or something. So I was standing there and I was with my cousin James. If you've watched the channel, you know Small James. He's an animal. And he went up with the hour and 5-minute pacer. And I was like, fuck it, I can't stick with that. Not a chance. So I went down way back in the crowd at like the hour and a half pacer with like, no offense, but like the mammies and grannies like. And for the first kilometer then I was like ducking and weaving and I was looking at my pace being like, what the fuck did I do starting back here? And then the minute there was open space, I started pelting it because I was like, I fucking have lost so much time here. And if you watch my Strava, there's like really low heart rate, big spike of heart rate, and then it just stays way up high. So I think I like ran the first half of the race, so the first like 5 miles at like 4:40s per kilometer, 4:20s or something. And then I ran the second half of the race at like 3:59s. So that was a kind of lesson learned for me that like you need to know what pace you're going for going into a race. You have to have an idea of what your finish time should be. You shouldn't just rock up and like have no idea of your pacing. The other big one that day is, do you know they pass out the bottles of water?
How to grab them.
He never told me about any of this, like, but there was water tables and I was just like, fuck it, I'll grab a water. Grab the bottle of water and then next one I'm trying to run with this bottle of water and I was just like, I need to get rid of this. Down 500 milliliters of water while running at like a 3:59 pace. Sure, it just sat in my stomach. I got the worst stitch of my life. Didn't know how to like sip away at it and then breathe and all while drinking and all, so I just made an awful hames of it.
Pinch the cup.
Yeah. Then the other lesson I learned was from Limerick half marathon. Again, that was a completely unexpected result, but we again went into it without a real plan. Other than like we're pretty fit. Under an hour and a half was our target. But then I suppose the lesson we learned from that day was you can push yourself a lot further than you think in a race. And race pace is something that you can't really like train for. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes and no.
Do you know, but like running in a race is like,
there's just a different feeling. It's adrenaline.
yeah, it's like
Things you just don't
adrenaline
have
and like
in train.
yeah, you're running with people. It seems a lot easier. Like me and Small James again was running with me and we got 10k in and we were like,
Picking fellas. And
I was like, James, I've just set a 10k PB here. I've done a sub 40-minute 10k in a half marathon and I feel grand. And he was like, I feel grand too. So that was a good one for that day. I also took like my first gels and all on a run on that day and they went all right. And then my biggest lesson learning day again was the 10k in Cork. Because I learned what like actual racing felt like. Do you know what I mean? Again, like Burnzy says, that first time he did Ackle, he was probably racing and was like an 8, 9 out of 10 difficulty for the entire race. That Cork 10 this year was the hardest thing I've ever done because I was like an 8, 9 out of 10 difficulty for the entire race. But at the minute I texted him, I was like, that was as hard as I could run and I found like the red line, do you know? Like you can push yourself a lot more in races, but you'll still feel when you're like going faster than you should, if that makes sense. So I definitely felt on that day like, right, I could see my watch and I couldn't get it under, was it 340s I was trying to keep under, or 345s or something. I could not push myself any faster than what I was pushing myself, and like I kind of learned a lot that day on like pacing and knowing what your like red line is. So
Yeah, because you can very easily overestimate, and then you're like, oh, I'm at my red line, and you realize like you're at it, and you're at it really soon, and it's something that you can't sustain. And then that's when things like just bonking and just I suppose like having to drop out or something pulling up on you can start happening. So
that's what'll be fun for my marathon as well, because I never run 4:15s. That's going to feel like a doddle for the first 20k, and the last 20k is not going to be fun. I can feel that, but anyway, we'll figure that out together, won't we?
That'll be alright.
Big dog.
You'll find it. Good.
Next question. Right, question from Mr. Dobby, a Nace man, a good solid Kildare man. He asked a very good question, and I'm going to let Burnzy kind of take over here because he is the coach in this instance, and this is more up his neck of the woods than mine. But what is more important for programming? Science and research or trial and error?
Slash experience.
Don't
forget that part.
Yeah.
Here's the first of the video. It depends.
It depends.
No, look, it's definitely a little bit of both. Like, it does help having somewhat of a grounding in the science behind what the person is trying to do, what the body is actually doing when you are performing, when you are running, when you are training. Because, of course, then you have the underpinning mechanisms of what's going on while they're carrying out their sessions. However, you don't know what's going to happen until you fucking try it. So you have to try some kind of a session at some kind of an intensity and see what the response is, because then you can start to kind of link the two, because you can go, oh, well, they did this and they were at this kind of intensity and their wearable gave me these outputs back. Okay, well, if we kind of look to the research, well, it kind of lines up with where they should be in terms of their oxidative capacity or what kind of mechanisms are at play at that point. So really and truly, it is a little bit of both. But like, there are people out there who will just completely go like, I'd be more of a kind of 60-40, probably science, 60 trial and error, 40, just because I have a background in it. But then there's other people who don't have that background and they're like engineers or whatever and that kind of thing, and they're all just, they've trialed it out, they've been trial and error, they've found what works, and then they believe that's what works. And then there could be somebody like me who's on the other side of the fence going, but this is what you're doing, and this is what I think, this is what the science and the papers and stuff says. And they'll go, well, look, I've gotten this far without any of that, so I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And I think whichever camp you fall into, if you're getting the results you want, you're feeling good, you're training good, then like, not the who cares, because it does matter, but it's like, well, sure, look, it's working for you, then drive it on. Do you know what I mean? So
it's a good answer, Mike.
I think that covers it. Like,
it's a good answer. Comes back to our big and favourite meme.
Jack Lawrence.
Shout out to Jack Lawrence. He's well used to this picture being sent in.
It's going to be up here somewhere.
Fuck around and find out.
Just fuck around.
The more you fuck around, the more you're finding out.
Just don't go straight to fucking out of 10.
Yeah.
Because you'll find out very quickly. But no, it's a good question.
Yeah, shout out to Dobby.
Yeah.
For programming. Yeah.
I would say that's one of the best things I've learned from working with Burnzy as well. A lot of his programming and like structure of things will be like, would you say, like scientifically based or like researchy based? Yeah. But then he'll very much just say to me, then you can probably do this if you want it, or if this day doesn't suit, you can probably put it here. Don't worry too much about the exact, like, oh, you need 72 hours or you need this or you need this pace. You can probably go here, and gives me like a bandwidth, and I think that suits us both very well then as well. Except when I do runs like today and he rings me and says, what the fuck are you doing? Fuck's sake.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm
broke up, boy. And we're like, right, let me open Strava here. There you go. I understand why you're broke up. It's your own doing. But no, that is very true. Like, I think as well, science is about bandwidth. Like that's the whole point of science, is to go like, right, we're going to look at something. We're going to see, right, what are we trying to find out? And let's find out, is there a reasonable bandwidth that this can kind of fall within? and then we can start to work within that and maybe narrow it down a little bit more.
Yeah.
Anyway, I could ramble on about that question forever,
Exactly.
but it's a really good question. I like that shit.
Training should be very scientifically kind of guided. You should be working off of very specific principles, but your methods can be your art in that sense. And that's why coaching is important, because if you're just doing things off of your principles, then they'll get really boring. If you're just doing things off of methods, you have no structure or no underlining principles to guide you.
Exactly.
There you go. Happy days.
It depends.
And it does depend.
Bit of both.
Here's a good another it depends question. Burnzy. How much of a training block do I need to prepare for a full marathon?
So I can look at this from one point of view and another point of view, and then I can pass it to Charlo. One point of view, bringing it back to Sweden.
Yeah.
This is perfect for its answer. Got told you can't run a marathon without X amount of training. So a training block. I said, well, that's absolute bollocks. Like, of course you can. So I was there for 5 more weeks. Well, COVID cut short. But anyway, I said, look, in 5 weeks' time, I'll run a marathon. And they went, no, you won't. So I ran. And again, this is silly of me. I do not advise this. Goes without saying.
Warning.
Yeah, warning. Do not do this. Do 5 weeks, and it was a 16, a half, a 25. No, it could have been. No, it was a little bit higher than that. I think there was a 30 in there, a little bit of a deload, and then a marathon. Like back to like a 16, and then it was a marathon. A 4-hour marathon at that.
And you ran it on a fucking motorway in Sweden.
Yeah, again, check out my Strava if you want to go have a look. It's very funny. Ended up on a train track. I had to run it in like spikes, and I think I was running. And this is before plated runners. It was a pair of black Nike Pegasus 36s with like
Nike ID
attached, with DB21 on them, designed on it, with like spikes that you like put around the shoe and everything. So how much do you really need to run a marathon? Again, you could say, and I like to say this to people who doubt themselves highly, and they go, "Oh, you do all this stuff, and people do all this stuff, and Charles doing all this stuff," and I go, "Man, if you just got up in the morning, like for most people, unless you're like morbidly obese or like really unhealthy, or if you've got loads of comorbidities, people underestimate themselves in terms of actually going doing that stuff." I broke it down to a relative of mine once. I was like, just if you picked a 2-kilometer stretch of road, which I've again done, and you ran and you went out and back at 21 times that day, there's a marathon. Like, do you know what I mean?
Crazy,
but if you're saying to training block, you want to like maybe achieve something that you're like, right, that seems like an unreasonable goal to do in a really small window of time. I think from what a lot of coaches do is like 16 to 20 weeks. So what's that, 4 to 5 months? Yeah. I think that's like the nicest window of time, because it gives you nice wiggle room at the start for building a good, decent aerobic base over the first 2 months, 8 weeks of work, 8 to 10 weeks, and then it then gives you, in that 8 to 10 weeks, you get a lot of time, like the previous question, you get to fuck around and find out, like you do have to trial out where people are at, where they can push themselves and where their zones and that kind of stuff are. And then you've got some fine-tuning time, which is more so that kind of last 6 or 8 weeks, I suppose, of kind of fine-tuning, getting some marathon pace stuff in there. And then, having time to test fueling, because again, that's a big part of a marathon as well. And not just not leaving yourself too short on time if, again, you're training, like as you said, Kevin, there's an actual training block that you're trying to put towards this effort. Yeah.
A big one again for it depends, because like a training block from where you are, what is your goal, like, and I think that's the big thing with running that I like a lot, is like you can reverse engineer a lot from, like, if I want to get a sub 3 hour marathon, Burnzy knows, like, right, these are the times I'm going to have to be running, these are the distances I'm going to have to be running, this is the pace I'm going to have to be able to sustain. Where am I in terms of my ability over 20k, 40k, do you know what I mean? And then you can kind of reverse engineer from there. For some people it might take 2 years. For someone else it might take 4 months of training, do you know what I mean? So,
and like I said before, we got into the more like 16 to 20 week training block, as I said, it depends because you could wake up tomorrow and like, what's your idea of running? What's your idea of doing a marathon? Like, do you know what I mean?
Flipping
Like,
woke up a morning there just about a month ago.
runs a half marathon.
And he did a full marathon around Park Cleeve, the mad fucker.
yeah, so
See that on Strava?
No, so there you go. So like,
800 meter loop.
Yeah, so the man asking the question, kind of, I know you're looking for probably a little bit more of an in-depth answer, like kind of we've hopefully been able to give you, but like there is that thing of like, and I think it's important to emphasize that because it's a big part of what I think myself, yourself, and a lot of people we're friendly with. They just chronically underestimate themselves, like in terms of what they can actually do. Like, do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
And it's important to be able to go, well, like, you can do it. You don't need to set yourself this little time window to do it. You can do it in the morning, or you can take ages to train for it. You know.
Yeah.
So, good question, Kev. I like that.
Good man, Kev. Opened a can of worms for us. Next one, right? And this is from Mr. Jack O'Brien. He asked, "What is the best way to manage strength training while adding volume to avoid injury in a marathon block?"
It's an interesting one because I suppose we can only go off what you've said. So there's two big parts of the question that I'm reading that I'm going, like, maybe there needs to be clarification on two parts of it. Is one of them is strength training, because like, is this like strength training in its classic form, which is like I probably prescribe you on your strength training days, is like, I don't want huge amounts of volume. I want lower amounts of volume in terms of the overall amount of sets that are being performed, but I want a higher output of work that's being performed for that lower volume. If you're maybe, again, I can only go with question, if you're insinuating that it's hypertrophy based work, then that's where I think we enter the realm of to achieve more hypertrophic based goals, you need higher set volumes and higher fatigues. That mean that I think that's the one that maybe isn't as manageable with, say, marathon training, because of the fact of the higher volume of work you then have to put in terms of the running side. So that I'm going to come at it from the side that I think you have said, which is the strength training. So that's your typical strength training. We're going anywhere from, say, I don't know, if we're going 3 to 10 reps, nice high percentages of tested, or just what you would think is a 1RM, an estimate of what you reckon you could have could lift for 1 rep. I think that's actually a nice way to have strength, to have some kind of gym work in your plan along with your running. Because as I said, that's the stuff I prescribe for you. That's the stuff I prescribe for athletes I work with, because one, there is some research that kind of backs it up, that kind of higher output stuff is actually better for, I suppose, the neuromusculature and that side of running, and those higher outputs in the gym can actually help with your ability to produce higher outputs, say if you're doing higher intensity work in terms of running, so shorter, faster stuff. So there's that link there as to why you would want it. Being more robust as well is just good, like putting higher outputs through tendons and joints as well. It isn't something to shy away from, because your joints and your tendons go through huge amounts of force when you're running, particularly at higher paces, even with runners and that kind of thing that do absorb some of that force. So I think, it does come back to you. If you're putting that strength training in, the best way to manage the two of them is keep your outputs nice and high, keep your volume nice and low, and you just need to add it in slowly and surely. And the other one is you can't avoid injury. So I that's the other part of the question. It's impossible. You can't avoid injury. Injuries, injuries are just parts of the things. The biggest, I suppose, most recent one I've noticed is what's his name? Can't remember his first name. Running Fox 26.2 on Instagram. Shout out, because you're an absolute legend and you're really fast. But running Valencia pops a
hamstring. Good luck.
That man has everything dialed into the last.
Perfect.
Running for years, thinks it's 11. So that's coming back to that avoiding injury. You can't avoid injury. You can prepare as best you can for the best performance you want to put in, but like shit still can fucking just happen. Do you know what I mean? And that's not me as a coach also, because then some people have control the eye of like, but sure, isn't that a great get out of just like or like get out of jail free card for you. It's like it just didn't happen, like these things can just happen. No, not saying that. If a person prepares well, they can achieve the goals. It's like, but on occasion shit can just happen.
Nice one.
So
good answer on that one as well. I suppose you could very much train your upper body as you normally would.
Yeah, absolutely.
Say in terms of hypertrophy and stuff, you could probably drive on with your upper body, because like it's not going to have too much of a detrimental effect to any of your running. But we were probably talking an awful lot there about like lower body volume. There's only a certain amount of tolerance your lower body can handle, and the running fills some of that cup.
Yeah,
you can't then fill it as well with your strength training, fatigue and all of that. It does exist, unfortunately. I've been trying to make it not exist for a while, but it does exist.
Yeah, as you said, that like you're doing 2 programmed sessions that I feel you need to be doing, but you're doing 2 additional ones there. There will come a point where running mileage will be high enough that those other 2 sessions,
you see about that, by
will not be something that's going to be
jack of all trades,
as necessary.
Will fit in upper body days, left, right, and centre.
Oh, you can do them away. Your heart's going to
Next question. Here's a similar one, right? So we'll stay on a similar vein, but it's balancing hurling with running. And then it was like very much the management of GA, like the management of the hurling team didn't really get the balancing both and all of that. This is from Ronan. Shout out to Ronan as well. Ronan ran the Lanzarote Marathon as well, like Turbo Fleming. His name is Turbo Fleming on TikTok. We love the man. But balancing hurling and running, again, this is going to come back to your kind of total mileage. And this is where I found huge issue last year, because I was obviously trying to keep my mileage somewhat consistent, but I was also back hurling. And the problem was, I didn't have a clue what was coming up in terms of sessions when I was going down home for hurling. Do you know what I mean? So like some days I could have even ran myself because it was like a nice handy session, but sure, I'd have no idea that it was going to be a handy session. And then some day where I might have done legs in the gym and then I go down home and it's flipping, we're doing sprints and shuttles and all sorts. Like, so that is where the issue occurs when it comes to trying to balance both. What I found, and something that is a big learning curve for me in terms of running, is that easy runs really serve me well in terms of recovery. And I probably never had that feeling before working with Burnzy. When I first started with him, he gave me 4 runs a week, and like it was like, I think it was 2 consecutive days, but it was like a hard session and then like an easy run. And then the second block was a hard session and an easy run straight after as well. And I was like, Jesus, I can't run 2 days in a row. And he was like, shut up and try it for a week. And sure, the easy runs then, you're running so handy that you're kind of flushing out the legs and they feel fresh as after the run. So maybe working it in a way whereby obviously your game at the weekend is your priority. You're going to have maybe 2 sessions during the week, but you could probably put like an easy run maybe on the day after a game and an easy run after maybe your earlier session in the week. And then your hurling sessions could nearly count as your tougher stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, if you think of it, you're getting into higher heart rate zones within your hurling sessions. They could count as your kind of interval-ish, tempo-y kind of sessions.
They fill that cup up a little bit, like, because they are providing your body with that kind of stimulus. And what that does in turn, those higher outputs you do on a hurling field, also just by nature, because you have to recover from them on the field and the surface, and the fact that there's also elements of twisting and turning and moving, your aerobic system has to absolutely go into fucking overdrive to then allow you to recover from those things. So better aerobic capacity, better able to just recover from those intervals as well. And that's another thing that I suppose we had focused on when you were doing the 2 at the same time, was like that this easier stuff is yes to age, flushing out the legs, getting a little bit of extra mileage in, but like your actual ability to recover from high intensity efforts just got better because of it. Like another thing I would go to say is, like, I think a really nice way,
Ronan,
if you are looking at trying to do something, is you can actually, sometimes people can get caught up in like the minimum they need to do is like 5k or whatever. Like it's like for some reason, maybe it's something to do with COVID, maybe it's something to do with whatever. That it's like 5k is like the minimum we have to do because we fucking did it when we were in that lockdown period. But like, just like if it means that you can only go out and do 20 minutes of a light jog at like 6 minute kilometers or whatever, you can do 20 minutes and you get 4k done, or like that's grand. That's grand. Like if you got 2 of those in a week, like you're not far off 10 extra k of just like giving your body some nice stuff to just get moving around. Like instead of going, right, I have to go do 2 5Ks, I have to hit 10Ks. Like it's something I actually use with athletes, where if it's like a day where it's like that extra day in the week where sometimes the session can fall away, sometimes it's the one that will be abandoned, make it a time-based session, because time can be easier than sometimes distance. It can just be like, just put your runners on,
just 40 minutes,
walk out the door,
or,
like I'm going to be out from 3 to 20 to 4 and I'm going to be fully back in, showered and done by 4 o'clock. You know what I mean? So that's another nice way, I think, of bringing that stuff in.
Right, Mr. Alex Murray, you probably all know Alex at this stage from my TikToks and from Instagram. Alex has a stormer of a flipping question, to be honest. He goes, how do you mentally prepare for long runs and races? And this actually got me and Burnzy talking before we sat down to record this, because I was like, that's a good question. We might start with that one. But
Jigs and reels.
We've put it in here because we were talking about longer runs. I think long runs mentally, I am someone, and Burnzy will tell you this, I don't think about things until I'm in the middle of doing it. So I tend not to think about it, and then sometimes that is a negative on me, because then I'm not prepared properly and I end up without fueling or without gels or having not eaten for the day, and then he gives me an earful about being prepared and all. But I'm like, I need to run, it's irrelevant, I'm just going to put my shoes on, I'm going to get out the door and get it going. And I think that definitely has positives. The second one of that then is races. And I think I don't really get nervous for running races. I don't know if I should or not.
No.
But I don't really get nervous for them, because I get nervous for my sessions leading up to them. And maybe this will tie in with like long runs or like training runs. I think the training runs we do before any events we're doing are way harder than the events we've done. Do you know what I mean? There's nights there where me and Small James have literally had to peel each other off the floor down in the marina or down in Tramore Valley Park because of how hard the session has been. And even like today, I was lying on my bed after my run today. It was like 5 by 2Ks. Burnzy rang me. I was like lying in my bed, like eyes closed, like I'm fucked. And I'd always think them sessions on your own or even with James are way harder than any races I've done. So I like to switch off before races and enjoy the whole buzz of race day. And then I think that allows me to perform better as well. Whereas I don't know how it's going to go in Barcelona now, because I put loads of pressure on myself and I might be shitting the togs. But I put loads of pressure on myself for Churchtown, and I didn't too much shit the togs there. I didn't get what I wanted, I know, but I still ran really hard. But mentally I switch off. Burnzy, how do you prepare mentally?
How do I prepare mentally for long runs and races? Well, long runs, I suppose, there came a point, last summer when training for the 100k. I like to use this with, again, anyone I coach, athletes. Jack Lawrence was one. Shout out Jack. Would have heard me say this, is you have to just take the emotion away from it. You just can't. You can't start getting emotional about it. You can't let yourself get wound up in these things, because if you do, that's just what's going to lead you to go, I'm not going to bother, I'm just going to stay here, I'm not going to do that run, and you're going to beat yourself up over it more. You have to just go, right, I don't care, I'm putting my shoes on, I'm putting my shorts on, I'm walking out the door, and I'm going. Like, there's days there in the summer you can remember it when I'm preparing for that 100k, like, because again, I self-coached it, so again, through good or bad, but it was, I peel myself out of the bed at 5 in the morning, I'd go do 7k, I'd back, shower, work for the day, on the way back from work, know I'm going somewhere to go do 10 more. Do you know, like, I'd have to just get 17k done in the day, like, and just that was just how it was. And there was no, like, I just put it on a page, and I do again, and that's a good way of actually taking emotion out of it, is that if somebody is there putting it in front of
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
and it's just on a piece of paper or on a sheet that you're going in to tick a box for.
Yeah.
That's all is a box ticking exercise.
Exactly,
then
yeah.
mentally you don't necessarily, I suppose, have to prepare. Maybe I'm avoiding the question
Yeah,
a little
no,
bit,
yeah.
but your mental preparation is actually like being mentally just like, right, I'm not going to think about this. I know what I need to do. I'm going doing it. And that's just what it is. Like, you just have to just go and do it. Races, again, I don't have huge experience in races. But like for those, I think I'm in the same boat as you. Like for Ackle, probably a bit more wound up about it, not as more enjoyable. You probably noticed that when I first did it. Like I wasn't.
If you don't know about Burnzy, he's very spreadsheet, and everything needs to be like
the way it needs to
ready, like and planned and prepared and like clockwork. So like I'm much more laid back, whereas Burnzy be like, lads, it's 12:01. We said we were going to leave at 12. They're not too bad that way. But like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for good or for bad.
Yeah,
like,
but it's definitely a benefit to his life for how he does things. Like, but
but for races like that,
I remember on that Ackle when you were a bit more laid back though. I could definitely tell you were a bit like,
right. Look,
you knew you did the work. I think that's a flipping main point I want to put out as well. Is like,
you've done the
on
work.
race day, it should be an enjoyable thing because you've done all the hard work or however long it's been. Like, do you know what I mean? And it is your time to shine in effect. Like, it's time to show off the work you've done. So races should be enjoyable, I think. The other thing that came to me today as well, during runs, I'm much more mentally at myself than getting out the door. I think I enjoy running. I enjoy going out the door. So like, it's never hard to get out, like, or preparing for them. Some days, all right, the hardest step is flipping the one from my bed to put my shoes on to get out the front door. But I think more in runs, it happens me more. And today now is when I was telling Burnzy, I had 5 by 2Ks today. When I got to the fourth rep in, I was like, I'm just going to tell Burnzy my calf is tightened up and I'm not going to do this 5th rep. And I'm just going to tell flipping Instagram that, I did 4 by 2K and it was really hard. But today, I said it to myself, and I suppose he'll know this more than anyone, but I'm very harsh on myself if a session doesn't go right, or I bottle a rep, or anything like that. I will have that in me and eating away at me until my next hard session, which is probably in a week. Like, do you know what I mean? So for a full week, I will not be able to enjoy my running because I'll go, nah, this week is fucked now because I bottled that last rep for no reason other than it was hard. Do you know what I mean?
You just didn't just go for it.
Yeah, and like in today's reps, it was like 7 minutes per rep. So in my head, I'm like, fucking 7 minutes. Anyone can run for 7 minutes. Like, that's what I was telling myself. And Andy Glaze, you know, your mom can run a 5K. I always say that. And Amy will, if she's watching this, will know that when we're running together, I go, only 5K left. Your mom could run a 5K. And every time we laugh. But that's what I was saying. I was like, it's only 7 minutes, and I'm going to beat myself up for literally a full week. Do you know what I mean? If I don't do this 7 minutes. So I think that was good today. And there's also that Goggins thing where it's like quitting only takes a second, but it's going to ruin like the rest of your day. Do you know what I mean?
Very good.
And then that's when I was running, I was like, if I stop in this rep now, not only is this whole day ruined because I've fucked up my run, but this whole week is ruined until I have this kind of a session again to redeem myself. So I think mentally that's how I get through the harder bits as well. And like of a 7 minute rep as well, probably only 2 minutes of it is actually hard. You know what I mean? The first 5 you're kind of not really there. You're just running and you're like, yeah, I'm on pace, this is fine. And then it's the last 2 minutes where you're like, and your legs are burning up and you want to stop. But yeah, good question, Alex. Thank you. Next question. Alright, we've got a cracker of a question.
What did he say?
In from Mike. He said, if Charlie started taking his running more seriously instead of beering in college, where would he be now?
That's obviously a question to me, isn't it?
That's a question for you off of Mike. What would you say to that?
How do I answer that? That is cat.
Lads, if I started taking anything in my life more seriously rather than playing FIFA and girls and fucking drinking in college, my God.
Where would you be?
No. Mike's just being harsh. But no.
Yeah.
You'd be nowhere further along, man.
There we go.
That stuff just had to happen.
Made me who I am today.
That's it, boy.
I had to be him to be me now.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Go ahead, Mike, will you?
Yeah, Mike, you're lousy, mate. Where would you be if you fucking...
Don't say anything.
Never mind. We'll leave it off. That's fucking hurt my feelings, Mike. Do you know what I was just thinking today? I got a memory. This fucker is who got me onto FIFA in college.
Yeah.
FIFA in 18 or 19 we got when we moved in together in second year in college.
Yeah, it's
And I
class.
swear to God, my whole entire college existence
and
was
Mark.
just playing FIFA. Like it consumed my entire life. And still to this day, like every year I'm like, I'm not getting the latest FIFA. I always get it. And I always put like fucking $2,000 into the game every year as well.
Me and
Fuck's
Mark
sake.
had fully sacked it off.
And you gave up then,
Yeah,
yeah.
fully
We were like,
sacked
oh,
it
we'll
off.
make a team. We had a Bundesliga team as well. It was shit. Like, we started playing Ultimate
bought
Team.
Xbox together and everything. Like.
Yeah. I still have the Xbox. I still owe you €60 or whatever for that.
Oh, we got some deal on that,
Thanks for that, Mike.
yeah.
Fucker.
Fuck's sake.
Right, here's a good one. Tips for running your first Hyrox, mainly solos if you have any. And I suppose Burnzy can kind of have an input in this because in general, Hyrox is such a running event. So what I would do is focus on your running. It is 8 1K intervals if you're to think of it like that. The problem with it is that like I wouldn't necessarily go out doing 8 by 1Ks and think you're prepared for Hyrox. I do think you need like a fairly substantial aerobic base for Hyrox in general, especially solos because again, it's going to be an hour and 20 minutes of you working at a pretty high relative intensity. Do you know what I mean? There isn't many break stations in there, and especially if you're on your own. So
Is there break stations in Hyrox?
if you're with someone, like you'd have a breather, like while they're doing the thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The break stations. This man is a fucking coach, and he doesn't know what Hyrox is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would work on building up a nice strong aerobic base. Again, getting out for your longer runs. You probably don't need to run anything over like 16 to 20k to be honest. But building up that base and then getting specific as you move towards your event. As with anything, you kind of start with your general training up here, and then as you get closer to your event, you get more and more specific. I would start emphasizing your 1Ks, or you could do like 1200 meter kind of intervals coming up to it, giving yourself like that 2 to 4 minutes rest in between each interval. You can then start doing like compromised stations or compromised running by doing like stations first and then running first, or running first and then stations second, and then bring in a few sims on your own as well, or even do your own sims and maybe do like a less of a distance and then build it up over time. That is what I would say. For anyone I've coached through Hyrox, our big focus has just been on running, and I had like 4 people do Hyrox this year, I think, with me, and all of them PB'd, and I didn't do a single, well, actually, that's a lie. I did some station work with them, but it was never anything like revolutionary. All of the improvements came from improving their running. So that's what I would say in that regard. Would Burnzy rather Arsenal win the league or his clients hit their running goals this year?
Quickest question will answer: Arsenal winning the league. Simple as
Bastard,
that.
he doesn't give a fuck about me.
Simple as that.
Doesn't
Arsenal
give a
win the
rat's.
league. If it means that I have to put off all the clients hitting their running goals for another year, so be it.
Up the arse, says Burnzy.
Up the arse.
Bringing us on nicely to our next question.
Is it?
Why have you not announced that you are dating?
I'm good, lad. The video. That is bad. That is shocking.
4 questions in a row from James Crowley, right? Why has Burnzy never done a Hyrox? You saw that earlier. He just couldn't give a fuck about it. Why have you not announced that you're dating? We're not dating. What is the biggest reason people never stick at it? That's a good question. We'll actually answer that one.
Yeah. We will.
What do you think about that?
Do you want to give him the last question just so we can just answer the other one?
Oh yeah, last question then James Crowley asked was...
This isn't even a question.
Fuck the 2 of ye sausages.
There we go.
Good man,
James.
Jimmy.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Anyway, biggest reason people
Another
never...
lad who'll ask the questions the next time.
Yeah, we could get James here with the mic. That would be good. Biggest reason people never stick at it. I'm going to give my side of it first. And I think it is because they don't have a clear goal or a clear timeline of a goal. So like Barcelona is in March. If I don't train until then, I'm not going to get a sub 3 hour marathon. It is on that day, no matter what. Here's another one. Thanks, James, for the 4 questions, with only one of them being a question.
Yeah. Fuck you.
Hardest achievement fitness-wise for both of ye so far, and what is your biggest current goal? I think the hardest thing I have done, and this is by a long shot. Hardest thing I've ever done is that Hyrox I did in Berlin with like zero prep. Literally learned on the spot how to do any of the exercises or any of the stations. And we were going for a sub 60 minute, me and Greg. I don't know if Greg will watch this, but shout out to Greg. He rang me on the Wednesday, the week before the Hyrox, and said, "Do you want to do Hyrox with me?" And I goes, "Yeah, where is it?" And he goes, "Berlin." I went, "Oh, fuck, okay." And went to Berlin. And yeah, again, zero preparation. Rocked up, tried to run 4-minute kilometers for all 8. The hardest thing I've ever done. Wanted to gack everywhere for the entire thing. And then biggest goal is obviously Barcelona. Boom, Burnzy, go on. Hardest achievement, fitness wise. Looking like you do every day.
Oh, you should have seen what I ate before this podcast.
Burnzy's dinner was just a pack of Coke. What are they called?
Coke and noodles.
Coke and noodles.
Ham
That was it.
spices and some
Not a single protein source was
some onions thrown in on top of it. No, hardest achievement fitness wise. Jeez, that is a hard one.
isn't it?
That is tough. 100k was tough, but like, yeah, look, we'll go with the 100k. Like,
Burnzy did 100k, 50 out and backs on the same 2 kilometre stretch of road.
yeah, that was hard.
Or-
Was that
yeah,
for what?
for charity.
10.5 hours.
Yeah, 10 hours. Whatever.
So yeah, that was tough, but like again, I suppose it probably comes back to one of our earlier questions. Like, I put in the yards, I put in the training.
Yeah.
Like again, you'll put in for Barcelona. When I got to that point, like it, and this is why I suppose I didn't have to mentally prepare. Well, one, it wasn't a race, but it was a charity event. But like, I didn't have to really overthink what I was going into or what I was going to face, because I had just followed my sessions. I had done my sessions. I had done the work. Whatever was going to happen was going to happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I suppose as well, in the sense that it wasn't a race, like, you know, like, or an event.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't an event, but a race. It means there probably was some pressure taken off there. Like, I was going to get 100k done.
Yeah, no matter what.
Yeah,
whatever
to
time,
hell or
yeah.
high water. You know what I mean?
Still fucking ridiculously hard, obviously.
Yeah, it was. It was still difficult. Like, as I said to Charlie only this evening, like, there was a point where at like 97k, and it was the only time I walked in the whole thing was like, 3k from the end. Your body just went, boom. It just wanted to stop, and that's the point where you're going, oh God. Like, there was loads of people with me as well, which was even worse, but I was like, I just need to stop here for a second and walk for like 100 meters, and I just had to walk and just compose myself and go, right, let's just drive it on here. Drove it on for 3 more k and got it done. But then, what was the other part of that question? Biggest goal. Biggest current goal.
Burnzy's going to play for Ireland, boys. Soccer player.
No, I do someday want to run the length of Ireland.
Someday.
So
Oops.
I'd love to do that someday. That would be great crack. But yeah, I'd say that'd probably be my next big thing. I'd say something that long.
Yeah.
That long and fun.
Yeah, you're going to beat the record. What is it? 3 days?
3.5 days or something.
Burnzy will do it.
Yeah.
Non-stop.
That's it.
The Irish William Googe is Burnzy.
We're both support Arsenal though.
We have a few more questions, but this is over an hour long now. I know when I edit it, it'll probably be a bit less, but an awful long time of yapping. I presume no one has made it this far in the video, to be honest. Our coffees are also gone, so there's no point talking any longer. Burnzy, thank you very much.
No matter, bye.
First guest on my YouTube channel. Well, you've been on before, so that was silly. Like, comment, subscribe. Train hard, be strong. See you later. Good luck, 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 good luck.